What is poppin'? It is a slap that I am but a lowly slap in riding these DeFi waves. And I have with me the man with the plan, the man without a tan, out of tan, the Estonian madman, Rez.
Hello, it's me.
It is you, Rez. How are you doing?
Well, continuing to not have a tan, but also had a very busy week, and crypto never sleeps. And apparently, I don't either.
Do you have sun in Estonia?
Recently, yes, very surprisingly, but sometimes we don't, and then we're sad. But
Do you ever go outside, Rez?
uh, yes, I did today, dog walking, but. I don't know, like the whole Corona situation has really put me in this kind of pattern where I don't really leave my house that often, so I'm a bit like sad about that.
You know what, man? I don't know why people complain about lockdown. It's been the greatest 2 years of my life. But why do people in such a rush to go out to like the bar and talk to the same 10 clones about sports for their entire lives? I don't know. But here we are, the same two clones talking about ReFi. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, go sports.
Go sports, go ReFi,
Yeah.
go sports.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Something.
what you know about Toucan? What you know about Toucan and Salad World?
Something.
What's your position in Salad World for people who don't know?
I am the head of protocol at Solid World, so that generally means I look at how systems interact and try to figure out how do we create a good one.
So you're kind of a big deal.
Slightly, internally, maybe externally, I'm just a dude.
I'm just a dude. All right, well, tell us what's up. I'm not even going to intro it because you're the expert. What's going on?
Yeah, so it's come out now that officially Solid World and Toucan we're officially collaborating. We're partners. We're doing stuff.
What are you doing?
And well, we want to work on figuring out how we intersect and how we help each other. Because fundamentally, one of the things that I'm working on is a protocol that doesn't want to hold certified carbon credits. It wants to create a pathway to finance these credits. But fundamentally, if they're certified, we need them to leave. So get the fuck out.
Ooh.
So in this situation, we want public price signals. We want a source of demand, so the arbitrage wouldn't only be very well-connected traders and brokers and people that know what's happening, what's popping in the carbon market. It would be very advantageous for, actually anyone to just go out and arbitrage, like, go. So that's the dream. And we've always had a lot of similar thinking with Toucan on the Web3 and carbon space being very important. And we've spoken about this at length over very many months. And we're just kind of happy to make this relationship public.
I am very happy for you.
Also,
Now, do you have anything like specific that you're working on? Is it like, I'm not asking you to share alpha, but share alpha.
Well, one of the things definitely is we want to make it very easy for once projects get certified. We wanted to make it very easy for our protocol to send you Toucan credits. Get those Toucan credits.
Cool. You have a timeline on that?
Nope. The main thing here is that we're building, so it's going to be a few months before we have a set launch date for Solid World in general. So I am going to avoid making promises because making promises without negotiating with your development team is the hallmark of a horrible product manager, and I don't want to do that.
I disagree. I think you should overcommit and then force them to get it done. Put some pressure on them. That's what they like. That's what devs like.
Yes, stress-based development. That's the best one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean,
for a short term.
What's the best place to like, if people want to learn about Solid World? Like, what resources? And we'll link all this obviously in the description of the video. What would be the place?
Yeah, sure. Go to our Discord, say hello. That's a genuinely good way. We'll engage with you. So if you have questions, throw us questions. We have weekly Twitter Spaces. We have a Twitter. So you can follow the Twitter if you want updates. And we have a newsletter called Refinitely.
Refinitely. Nice. Dude.
Refinitely. It's like definitely, but with refi at the start. It's great. But it's a newsletter where we educate people just about the carbon markets, because education is very important, and then anyone working in Web3 X crypto should be Web3 X refi just in general should be educating anyone that is willing to listen. Here is the complicated shit that we're working with.
Agreed. All right, man. Good little start there. A little plug for the Solid World. I like the Solid World, but
yes.
Hey, I heard you have a lot of opinions on Ripple, and Ripple is the entity behind XRP. You know, the XRP army, which is under constant litigation from the SEC, and they have committed to being, what was it, carbon neutral by 2030? Was it 2050? I think it was 2030. Anyway,
the number is very important. 2050 is
I know, it's like we'll all be dead by then. Well, I would say like I was just in a Discord where someone's like, isn't it kind of lazy of them to say like by 2030 or 2050? And I just wrote like, my interpretation is, yeah, we'll fix it eventually ... or we won't. By 2030, no one will remember these promises anyway. You know, it's like.
Yeah, and it's like very backloaded, so you don't do anything now, but you assume that you'll do something when you get closer to the date.
Yeah,
that's the worst part.
Anyway, so I think it's 2030. They want to be they're investing in green and sustainable tech. What is you said you have a lot of opinions on this. What are your opinions? Give me your gist.
Yes, my spicy opinions. Well, the spicy opinions in here generally just come down to the fact that I think there's a mega trend going on right now of layer 1s and layer 2s trying to position themselves as very good for sustainability. And, as part of this, we want to be very sustainable drive. They often open up, hey, come and build sustainability stuff in our platform. And I understand that on one end, and multi-chain, cross-chain words that start and end with chain, very important. But I do have this feeling of if we're splitting everything everywhere, is that necessarily like good for us? I mean, I'd like everything to be in one place, but on the other hand, I don't think that's like super realistic.
Is that a rhetorical question? What is that?
No, that's like a question for you, because I'll be like completely clear. Mm-hmm. I like that layer 1s, layer 2s, and whoever else is putting up money into sustainability projects, into being sustainable, everything around this. That is very good. It's just you're fracturing. He's
right?
like fragmenting. He's like fragmenting like the market necessarily like very good. And how do we, in the long term, kind of get around that and still have people interact with each other's protocols?
Right. So here first of all, I found the text. It was by 2030. They have pledged carbon neutrality by 2030. Ripple claims to be the first to have pledged that by 2030. Okay, so they're champion a network of engaged partners with a like-minded commitment to sustainability. It's like, all right, so what does that mean? They're going to probably incentivize and throw money at projects, right? And maybe they'll do a little offsetting or something like that. And to your point, they're shilling to protocols. They're shilling to actors in the space to come join don't join them. We're the green ones. They're the ones that are going to pollute the world. And like, is it sincere? Is it virtue signaling? I'll be honest with you, Rez, I don't care. I think we might be on the same page in that it's like, I don't care why you're doing it. If you're throwing money at this, like, better than not throwing money, right? I'm a what do you call it? A realist. What do you call that? A pragmatist, right? I'm not a
money maxi.
I'm a money maxi.
Just sustainability maxi, maybe. Just like, okay, I don't care. Just do sustainability. I love it. Keep going.
The best way to put it is, if you're going to give me $1 million, I don't care if you're giving that to me because you like me or because you hate me. Give me $1 million, I'm good. It's kind of the same way here. So in terms of like fragmenting, I think that there is a real. there's a real threat in the beginning of missing out on a network effect of all these things. Like you have to hit, these aren't like precise words, but like a critical mass in some environment to get that ball rolling.
Yep.
Here's a really crude analogy is if you were trying to start a music movement, let's say you're back in the 1970s, let's call it punk rock music, right? This wild new thing. It's like, well, how did that emerge? Did it emerge that there was one punk band in every state? It's like, no, in America anyway. It emerged from like epicenters of punk. It was New York City. It might have been something on the West Coast. It was in the UK, right? But you had these cities that were synonymous with punk. And from these strong cultural centers, it resonated out. And I think that's actually really important because if you don't have that strong fundamental culture, that place, that epicenter of the movement, you aren't going to have that critical mass that builds up. And I do think that is a real threat. But then here is the question is, how do you stop this from happening? How do you stop all these layer ones from saying or from trying to attract this this green incentives and this innovation? Like, how is it possible?
I've been thinking about this quite a lot, and I think the answer to that is going to be something around cross-chain. So essentially, we saw. I'm struggling to remember the name of this organization. LIFI? Were they LIFI? The guys that allowed you to stake Lima on Ethereum, or
one button and then you could get an asset. But that okay, go ahead. Yeah, that really was like a lot of just transactions all rolled into one is what was going on.
Yeah, but it's like transactions on another blockchain, and you're activating that from this one, I think long term that actually might be how it's going to shake out. So cross-chain protocols, doing cross-chain stuff, interacting with other protocols through things like this. I think the only downside that we're looking at in that case is what happens if a network gets compromised, because that might be like a direct protocol risk to everyone else at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's waiting for this sort of moment where all of blockchain is interoperable. The other solution that I could see is that we just pare down the number of layer ones we have until it's like 3. Like until it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like dot, you know what I mean? Like maybe we just don't have, and again, the analogy is if, I always try to think of like other things that we're familiar with. It's like, what did we use for our internet protocol? We really have TCP IP. That's it. It won. You know what I mean? And I do think there's room for more than one blockchain, but I really just don't think that we're going to be able to sustain the thousands of the thousands of blockchains that exist right now.
I think it's a winner take all market in the sense of there are blockchains that are just gonna be long-term better because they have more stuff in it. They have more liquidity in it. They have more protocols in it, and you probably want to be there because you like benefit from everything around you. And I think how you are supposed to build a successful blockchain is literally you attract the nice protocols, you attract the nice projects over there, and you hope that that's enough. And sometimes these bets are going to work, sometimes they aren't. The protocols might migrate to another chain later on, stuff like this. And at the end of the day, something good's going to come of it. Like at the end of the day, just the whole like thing that I wanted to get to eventually was the thing you said. Money good, keep money now, money me now. And money's good for the space because we get to build stuff. And if we get to build stuff, we get to try out, we get to buy lottery tickets to save the world.
That's really what it is. Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously not every protocol on the planet's going to work. One is, and if the Ripple can make sure there's like a few more people trying, that is still very good.
Right. I just think, one last thought about this, and then we'll go on to the next thing is, I see a lot of infighting between protocols and chains, and especially in ReFi, to your point, like, yeah, you don't want to see somebody go to another chain and fragment these resources and initiatives, but at the same time, it's like, stop arguing, stop fudding, stop taking shots. Like, it might suck that somebody else is taking your project or your thunder, but it's like, that's ultimately good for you, right? Like, Tesla's a good example, is they open source their tech because they thought if more people get involved in EV, that's good for us, even if we have competitors. And I do feel that way about ReFi. I think we have to stop sniping at each other. Even if we want to snipe at each other, there's a way you can handle that professionally and publicly, because there's just too much of it in the space. It's like everyone's trying to create a toehold right now. It's hard enough fighting the powers that be, the institutions, the way things are, that we're fighting each other too, you know?
Yeah.
And
exactly. It's just try to put out more positive vibes about other projects than you're putting out negative vibes about other projects. Right. Even if you can't stop yourself from sniping, at least try to make up for it by like putting some good vibes out there.
Exactly.
That's all I can say.
Exactly. Here's some good vibes. You and I had some good vibes discussing this. I'm very excited to discuss this with you because we were laughing our tails off before we got on this call. This is ChangeBlock. Because last time in This Week in ReFi, it's all on a playlist too, we were talking about ChangeBlock and how they had their, I believe it was an Ask Me Anything, and we said, we'll keep you posted. So we're going to keep you posted. And I'm going to be real with you. I have no idea what ChangeBlock does. But they have a nice announcement, and they lay out really cool stuff, and I'm just too smooth-brained. But there was a demonstration where we think that ChangeBlock is going to be a, what is it called? A DEX for carbon? Yeah. Plus is it potentially a bridge?
Maybe. It might be a bridge. It might be a DEX. It might be like a OTC marketplace? Question mark.
So this is our new favorite project because we don't understand it, and we like.
Yeah, I mean, like, for context to you guys, like me and Slapton, like, literally were going through the documents for 20 minutes, going like, but.
Which I love.
Those are, yeah. I mean, like, those are keywords. These topics are important, but where do you fit into the puzzle? Are you the whole puzzle?
It's the whole puzzle. It's the whole shebang. So what we, and this is sincere. Like, we're not shitting on ChangeBlock. Like,
yeah, like ChangeBlock. If you can explain what you do, like. Want to have like 5 minutes on this thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You want to have an hour on this thing? We'll listen to you for an hour. Or you put in the comments, just write "you're dumb" and then leave a link to the Discord. No, but it's the reason I think it's cool. I do like things I don't understand because it's an opportunity to learn. I think it looks like a very ambitious project. You and I were just talking about this. It's like, yeah, promise the world, promise everything, but hopefully you hit one or two things, and that's all you really need to do. But it does look like they're going to be offering permissionless pools to carbon credits. So you can basically take a pool of, underlying credits, put them and make them into a fungible pool, similar to BCT, how they make TCO2s fungible. Yep. And the other cool thing that I think is interesting, but I don't know how it would work, is you can take non-green tokens, non-green assets, put them in with green assets, and maybe you could spin up something like a green stable, which is kind of a cool thing. Maybe, I don't know, man. We're speculating. ChangeBlock, help us out.
Help us, please, because I saw something about the ability to put plastic credits, for example, and carbon credits like in the same pool.
Green plastic.
What exactly are the advantages of doing that, and how do you price taking stuff out? I have a lot of questions.
Oh, it's really easy. I can explain this. Carbon is good. Our carbon credits are good, and plastic credits are good. So you know how you get like pasta and marinara? They're both good on their own, but then when you put them together, it's simple. It's the addition postulate, Rez. Come on.
Yes, and okay, I'll stop it at there.
All right.
If you figured it out, please let us know. We're in a process still, but we'll get there eventually.
Or we won't. All right. So what's it called? C3. We'll do this quick. As I dox my wallet address here, I'm gonna put this up here.
Oh yes.
That's what you got to do. You got to dox. I'll edit that out later, or I won't. There's 2 new gauges in C3, UBO and NBO. So I did a video on this, Wrap Stake Klima. You can basically get rewards for locking up your UBO and NBO, which is the native carbon tokens for C3. Any thoughts on this, Rez?
Single staking?
Single staking, yeah. So it'd be like incentives to stay, like if you bridge your UBO or NBO on chain, it would be an incentive to keep it locked, not just to dump it.
Because we give you governance to hold the stuff that we created, essentially. That's
Yeah.
kind of the logic I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, at least in the short term, I can kind of see that in terms of you want to incentivize all of the nice things that people do around your protocol, and that, fundamentally does make sense. Will it have significant effects? I think that's gonna be left probably for history to decide. But I mean, incentives cool. I like incentives.
Yeah.
Sustainable incentives even better, but just incentives still cool.
They're trying, and I give them credit for that. We'll see how it plays out. This isn't a pleasant story, but one we have to cover. We'd be remiss if we didn't cover this. This is the USDC NCT liquidity kind of. I don't want to call it a rug, but I call things that aren't rugs because it's funny. Basically, it was the pulling of liquidity, not a rug pull, just the literal pulling of liquidity out of the USDC NCT pool. On May 9th, it had $11 million of total value locked. And then as of today, it's like 1.6 mil, which is, like a factor of, it's like 1/8 what it was, 1/9 what it was. You have some background on this, don't you? Like you kind of know what's going on? Something you...
I have a inkling of what's going on, and I think it, if I can summarize it, it's Toucan had to set up liquidity somehow on NCT when the whole mass rebalancing was happening. They didn't put up money themselves. These were other organizations that made promises of keeping liquidity around for some period of time. From my understanding, that period of time has ended, and there's other things to do with this money right now. And I think in Moss's case, it's probably like the buybacks thing that they announced. We talked about that last week, I think.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and well, at the end of the day, so far NCT hasn't had a lot of trading volume. So necessarily, if you're a liquidity provider, what you're trying to figure out is, am I going to make more money on the trading fees than I am going to lose due to, the token that I'm providing liquidity to being volatile? That's called impermanent loss. So I don't think there was necessarily like a lot of transactions happening on that liquidity pair, especially compared to the huge amount of liquidity in there, in the value of, you said, $11 million, I believe.
Yeah, it was a little
Somewhere
over
in
11
there.
million USD. Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine like not a lot of transaction fees being split up with a very large amount of capital. And, that basically means that this, at $1 million, it's probably just more, let's say, capital efficient. I wouldn't necessarily like use exactly that term, but it isn't necessarily very good for Toucan to be missing this liquidity, but I understand why this happened. Liquidity, at the end of the day, is a service, and it is not cheap.
Yeah, so this is the age-old problem of DeFi is how do you get your liquidity, and if it's through centralized providers like this, then if it's not protocol owned, which is the Olympus model, which I think is the one I think it's the one thing that will exist for a while. I think it makes a lot of sense. Is this happens? You get people to provide the liquidity, but they own it and they take it when they want to take it. And how do you blame them for taking it, especially at a time like this when volatility is super high and most people want to be risk off? So it is what it is. But yeah, interesting story. All right, so that's really the crypto stuff. Now we're going to get into the TradFi stuff in a segment I like to call is Make Res Happy, Make Res Sad. So we will offer a story, and then Rez will tell us if he's happy or sad. And you have to pick one. You can't be in the middle, Rez. You can't be You can't be a fair weather fan here, okay? So the first one is going to be New York Bitcoin miners start to give up on state amid regulatory uncertainty. And if you want a little bit more context on this, is New York, has basically said that the energy costs of Bitcoin mining in the state are too much, and there's too much environmental degradation. The carbon footprint does not justify the value being created through Bitcoin. Does this make Rez happy, or does this make him sad?
Oh shit, Rez in the middle. Oh, fuck.
I knew it.
Wait, we'll get there. Initial feelings, res sad because regulation is slowing down something.
Yeah.
But I will I will counter this with I don't know about the amount of renewable energy happening in the state of New York. I don't necessarily know if their energy was very clean. I don't know if it was subsidized. There's actually a lot of questions around Bitcoin mining because I will remind everybody that the main cost factor for Bitcoin mining is what does electricity cost? Because that is an ongoing cost you are taking all the time. So if the government is subsidizing your electricity, you are using government subsidies to mint Bitcoin. And that is not necessarily like a very good look, I don't think. Whereas if you have a renewable energy power plant that is struggling to use all of its energy, Bitcoin mining is super dope because on one hand, energy very cheap, no one needs it. On the other hand, make money. And then these two things come together and you have better incentives for renewable energy, which is fantastic. But in this situation, I'm going to assume it's more the first option of there was possibly like some subsidies happening to even make the unit economics attractive. And I'm assuming the energy itself wasn't that clean to begin with. I might be wrong about this. Call me out in the comments.
Well,
Hey.
it is. I just put it on the. I did a control F to find it. I didn't remember, but yeah, there was some. There's an example of one 435 megawatt facility that was using mostly hydro. There's a lot of hydro in New York. Think of like Niagara Falls.
Okay.
There's a fault line, but then there was this other one that was basically took a 1937 coal power plant, converted it into natural gas facility in 2014, and was housing 19,400 Bitcoin mining rigs. It's a mixed bag. But there you have it. That's
Res sad.
res sad.
That made res sad. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Res sad because Bitcoin miners are destroying New York State. Let's get to the next one. Bitcoin miners love renewable energy credits. We're about to find out how effective they are. Does that make Rez happy or sad that Bitcoin miners love renewable energy credits?
Renewable energy credits should make everyone happy. So, Rez happy.
Okay, now what about the fact that these crypto mining rigs are taking advantage of getting these credits by moving to a renewable energy source? Like, to your point, isn't that in some way a subsidy to mine Bitcoin?
It is, but it incentivizes more renewable energy infrastructure, and renewable energy infrastructure makes Rez happy. So, in summary, if we can have more renewable energy infrastructure and, the incentives work out in this way, that is great. If you have a coal plant and you have a subsidized coal plant to mine Bitcoin, Jesus Christ, what are you doing to the planet? Please stop.
Well, if we take away all the coal, how are we gonna build up an on-chain carbon market, Rez?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the ultimate like bear case, right? We can't have carbon credits. Carbon is coal. We don't want coal.
Yeah. All right. So far it's been one Rez sad, one Rez happy. Let's see if we can make him net happy on the day. So this is the SEC is considering or to consider sustainable investing rules. So there are many securities and offerings that are claiming to be green in nature or to be carbon blah 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 net positive, et cetera, and the SEC, my boy SEC chair Gary Gensler, is suggesting that the SEC look into this and regulate how these securities would be able to label themselves, how they'd be able to be defined. ESG
Rez
marketing.
happy.
Rez happy.
Yes. No, Rez happy. Like, I think that might be like a mildly European perspective, but I generally like when centralized organizations, at least set some ground rules of what you can and can't say about certain products. So, the best example in my head would be like the American supplement market, where you can basically say like almost anything if you couch it in the right words. But, you can't make scientific claims that, this is like literally going to change your life. It's like still a limitation at least, you know. So I don't I realize that, you know, do your own research, and if you're really doing some sort of ESG investing, you really should be looking under the hood already, which is what the SEC, you know, wants out of this. They want clearly defined situations where you can even say that your fund is green, and that's fine. I mean, like, if you're marketing your fund as green and it's subsidizing coal-based Bitcoin mining or something, you know, maybe that's false marketing. I don't know.
I think that, you know what it is. I'm going to give you the counterpoint. As an American, I'm going to tell you right now that it is our God-given right to mislead people in the pursuit of profits. As a matter of fact, if you guys, speaking of supplements, I am drinking pepperoncini, I don't know how to say that word, jalapeno juice. If you want to get jacked, if you want to be in the best shape of your life, if you want to be rich, if you want everyone to like you, I will leave an affiliate link to this. They don't sponsor me. And I think if you want central authority to tell you what to say, you can just take your stuff and get out of the good old US of A. What do you think?
You heard it here first. And for any potential sponsors, you just got a taste of what it is to have slapped and shill your product. He is shilling jalapeno water, I think, right now. So, you know, your product is probably better than a jalapeno water, I would assume. So, like, reach out.
Impossible. All right, so far, 2 res happy, 1 res sad. I know what you'll feel. Tesla got kicked out of the S&P 500 ESG index. Elon Musk calls ESG a scam. He called it a scam. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this, Rez? Happy or sad?
Getting kicked out?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have such conflicting emotions.
You're happy. You're happy.
Okay, fine, I'm happy.
You know you're happy. Why are you happy?
What do you want me to say? Okay, sure. Yeah.
I knew you would be.
I mean, at the end of the day, look, if your core business works in renewable energy, that's very dope, but that doesn't necessarily excuse you for everything else. So, like, yes, it's very nice that you do that. And yes, it might be a bit fucked up if you look at ESG scores that Shell is doing a lot better than Tesla. But on the other hand, well, you know, they're still an oil company, and that is terrible. And personally, I have feelings around that, but they do other stuff to make up for it. And I guess we've figured out that you can arbitrarily make that into a number. And this number is how good you are as a ESG thing. So there you go. I'm honestly.
What about the scam? The scam part's funny to me because Elon Musk, I mean, his entire business model is to convince the world that electronic vehicles are good, and on the other hand, he's calling ESG a scam. And like,
that's like interesting, but I can't help but feel we're kind of in slow motion observing Elon Musk descend from sanity into insanity. But it's just happening at a pace where you're not completely picking up at any given point of, is he insane yet? I'm calling it here now. In the next decade, we are going to see Elon Musk being the Republican president. I'm calling it now. That's the story arc.
Oh, that's juicy. That's juicy.
That's very. I think that's the story arc.
Well,
if I've seen enough of American culture, that's the story arc.
Yes, I think. Well, he just tweeted recently that he's abandoning the Dems. He just had a nasty tweet about them, and he was supporting the Republicans. So, from your lips to God's ears, there it is. Elon Musk in 8 years. So this is another res happy. This is good, man. I'm glad we're making you happy. Let's see about this one.
I love it.
This is a controversial one. Germany to reject EU green investment label for nuclear power. Res happy, res sad.
I have opinions on this, so res sad, to be honest.
Okay.
And the reasons around this is nuclear waste is bad, but we have to put that into context with literally what every other energy generator does. So, okay, solar, wind, hydro, great. But if we're talking about coal plants, if we're talking about natural gas, you know, nuclear is a lot better. I mean, you can check out how they actually deal with nuclear waste, and I think you'll be surprised that it's not as bad as you might think it is. And it doesn't necessarily create the same insane amount of waste that a coal plant does. And the coal plant's waste is very invisible because it's literally all around us.
We're breathing it right now. So I know what they do with nuclear waste, actually. It's right here in Mazzetta's. Pepperoncini.
No, that's bad chilling. Don't say it's a nuclear product.
No, it makes you like a superhero. That's how you become like a Marvel character. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Rez. Again, I'm a pragmatist. I'm not an all-or-nothing guy. I understand the world is complicated, and I'm a big proponent of nuclear. I think it is one of the most viable... what would you call it? Least polluting sources of power that we currently have. I know I'll get shit for this, and I don't care because I also accept the fact that I'm not right. That there's two ways of looking at this, right?
Very definitely.
Yeah, and you need to be responsible, and you can't put these things on like fault lines or in the way of tsunamis. That's dumb. Yes. That's a stupid thing to do, and you need to make sure that they're handled responsibly. You know, and then the argument is, well, even then, like look at what happened in the Ukraine where Russia was shelling the nuclear facility. It's like, yeah, well. That sucks too, but it's like, what's perfect, right? What solution do we have right now that's perfect?
Yeah, it's this is the exact same feeling I have often around like carbon markets when people are poo-pooing the status quo in the sense of we shouldn't even be trying to do this because it's inefficient or there's bad stuff happening also, and it's like, yes, on one hand you're right. But on the other hand, doing nothing is fucking terrible. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we are running out of time horribly. So if we have to do stuff inefficiently, doing stuff inefficiently is still better than doing absolutely jack shit. And I'm sorry. It's not a productive position to be just everything is bad. That's just nihilism.
Full on agree, man. I mean, okay, we're in complete agreement. Rez sad, all right, which isn't good, but we're in agreement, which is good. So Rez happy, maybe. Yeah. Happy still winning by 1 point. So, all right, next one. UK plans to label gas as a green investment to replace coal. Rez happy or sad?
Rez sads. I mean, no. I don't think this was the appropriate mechanism to do it. I understand why they would want to use this mechanism. But it seems like if they want to provide incentives of switching over to liquefied natural gas because it's in reality an energy security thing also, create a liquefied natural gas incentive that's just not like an ESG thing. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yes, energy security also important.
Well, here's the wild thing, man. And not these are the same regulating bodies, different countries, but so far we have the UK calling liquid gas green and Germany calling nuclear power not green.
Yeah, very consistent. Thank you. Like, that is so productive. I'm glad we're in agreement universally on where the line of green goes. And apparently it's wherever you want it to be to get the exact results you want.
Political reasons, yeah. I mean, Germany was largely fueled by nuclear power, if my understanding is correct, until not too long ago. France as well, and it was good. It was working out for them. They had low cost power, etc. They weren't dependent on foreign fossil fuels, which was a good thing. They switched to renewables. Or they had a big push to renewables, which is wonderful. But then in that push, they also said, what's it called? Nuclear is bad. They got onto foreign fossil fuels, etc. It can be maddening. I happen to agree with you. The lack of consistency makes me sad, and also, I mean, why call it green? It's just call it less brown. Like
less brown.
Yeah.
Or just create other incentives around it because you don't need them forever. Like you want it probably for the reality of why we care about liquefied natural gas is just the fact that due to the geopolitical situation, we don't necessarily want to give Russia a bunch of money for their natural resources right now. That's not good. So then we need something else, and that something else can be liquefied natural gas. But you need infrastructure to actually handle liquefied natural gas. And based on what I've seen, it takes a long time to build out and it's expensive. So governments should obviously, try to figure out how best they can support their energy economy. But why it has to be a green asset at the same time is perplexing as fuck to me.
Completely agree. All right. And penultimate, second to last. Well, this one's, I don't know. It's kind of a broad term. Blockchain and emerging technology to save the world. The thing that I thought was interesting about this, it was just a brief overview. I'll link it. But this is an older report that became new to me recently. 86% of companies have a sustainable strategy. Only 35% have acted on that strategy. So Rez happy because there's 86% of companies with a strategy, or Rez sad because only 35% have acted on that strategy?
Res sad.
Oh, it's a net sad so far.
Yeah, we're in a net sad. We're in a net sad because promises to be climate neutral by 2030 and not acting on it just makes you a huge piece of shit. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Rez, I'm gonna stop drinking alcohol in 2070.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, go you, apparently. You're promising to look at doing things in the future, maybe. It's like, that's very helpful. I'm sure that will look good on your marketing campaign, question mark.
Yeah.
Like, what do you actually get out of promising to be carbon neutral by 2030 and then not doing anything about it? What is the advantage? Like, what did you gain from it?
You get virtue signaling.
Like, good? No, but it's gonna backfire. I mean, like, come on, like carbon neutral by 2030 and like just sitting on your hands until it's 2030. I mean, how short-sighted can you be to make promises that you can't even keep? Like, come on.
I've been doing it my whole life. All right, last story. Let's see if we can get you as a neutral day. Finance giants and green groups extremely concerned, at reports that UK's green finance taxonomy will include gas. Well, this might make you happy.
I mean, I'm happy that someone else is also worried about this, so I guess we're on net neutral now.
All right, we don't have to continue. I just threw this one in as a kind of a meme.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem with including this kind of stuff under green taxonomy definitions. The problem is, how does this definition get out eventually? And how, because we have to remove it at some point.
Yeah.
Is the removal written into the thing immediately? What are the implications of having something labeled as green and not green on the next day? These are just are you supposed to just dump everything now? Like, is that the logic here?
Yes.
Because if you're a green fund, you will be forced to literally dump it on one day then.
That's the plan. They're going to make you invest in this. And then when that's no longer a thing that people can invest in, they're going to make you invest in the next thing. And they're going to keep doing that. And they just keep pushing you. And the politicians, what they'll be able to do is invest before you invest.
Yeah.
And then they'll make it incentivized. I mean, of course, these are just unfounded theories.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen that in crypto at all. So I'm very surprised of why you are thinking like that. But yeah. And, I think we, should be a bit concerned that we're just using the wrong mechanisms, and this might create how do I put this? Lobbyists. Let's just call them lobbyists. There's gonna be a bunch of lobbyists going, hey, sorry government, we're not exactly ready to, dump it yet. Mm-hmm. So these organizations that are benefiting from being called green are spending that money back into the government to convince them to keep the definition going. And why is that a good thing? It's not. It's just weird. Let's not use money that way.
I agree.
No.
I agree. It's a recipe for pay to play. But hey, it was a net neutral happy day for Rez, which is a happy day for me. And we got to talk about some really cool stuff. And Mazzetta, this is brought to you by Pepperoncini Jalapeno Water. If you want to feel like $1 million, if you want to be the life of the party, if you want to be smarter, if you want to be faster, stronger, if you want to be net zero, this is what you need, baby. Link in the description. I'm seriously going to put a link. I'll put a link to everything. Rez, any final words?
Yes. Is your Mazzetta carbon offset?
Yes.
Is it a carbon neutral Mazzetta?
Not only does this carbon offset, but when you drink it, it offsets your carbon. Do you think the SEC will come after me for that?
After that new regulation goes through, maybe.
This is the last video we'll ever do. Then I'm going to be in the clink. All right. I'll catch you all in the next one. Above all else, remember to ape responsibly. Would you? Peace, dudes.
Peace.
And dudettes.